And we're live. All right, so this is episode 1 of the Vet Victory podcast. We are definitely going to be going through some technical growing over the next few episodes, but you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and we just kept talking about we need to get started, and well, we're finally getting started, and it's nice to try and finally get this off the ground. Obviously, you're not at home right now. You're in Texas.
Yes, sir. San Antonio.
Yeah, and so you got to go to Gonzo's funeral yesterday or Monday.
Yep.
Was it good? Obviously, given the circumstances.
The circumstances, right. It was great, to be perfectly honest with you. It shows you a whole different side of appreciation that other people had for the same dude that you have appreciation and care for. Somebody that you spend time in service with. And the really unique thing for me personally was some people, when they're in the Army, they're one person, and when they go back home, they're a totally different individual. But Gonzo was like literally the same dude, regardless of whether he was in the Army, out of the Army, whether he was at somewhere else, another installation, or on the road traveling, or whether he was back at home in Houston. So you kind of get like that same feel, and then everybody essentially kind of feels and knows the same dude and the same person. Just everybody has different minor experiences or some major different experiences with that same person, but essentially you all knew the same person. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was a great celebration of life, if you will. It's got some laughs in, obviously considering the situation, but definitely got some laughs in, and try to make light of what is a pretty tragic incident.
Yeah. That was sad to hear it. I know you guys were talking almost every day, right? From what you said. Yeah. So, well, I'm sure that's tough. I know there's he had a pretty close family. I don't know all of the details, but I don't know if you want to share wife, kids.
Yeah, so he had a girlfriend. He was actually supposed to propose to her 2 days before his funeral. And that was a plan that him and I had talked about for the past 6 months or so now. And then he kind of recently just ironed out a date that he wanted to get it done, and make that proposal, which was supposed to be the 21st of this month. So he's got a girl. That? Yeah, she does now. So like, I eventually told her while I was down there. I don't think that was a piece of information that should be withheld. I think that goes to show his love for her and his commitment for her. And I didn't know if anybody else knew, but I definitely wanted to be able to share that piece, so at least she knew that much about him. But she said that like a day or two before I told her, his sister had also told her. So I guess he had talked it over with his sister as well. So she does know now. So he had his fiance, if you will. He's been talking to her for the past 3 years now. They've been together for the past 3 years now. And then she has 2 boys, one of whom who has autism, actually. He's essentially adopted the 2 of those boys, man. They were his kids. I mean, that's how he claimed them. They were never like my girl's kids or Shay and Issa's kids. They were always, man, my boys, my boys, my boys. So that's a really big deal. I don't know, just for me, it really is. It goes to the testament of someone's true character. It's not a lot of things. That's not something that a lot of people are willing to do, is to take on somebody else's kids, especially with our backgrounds. His background is probably not I know it's not as extensive as ours is in the military, but he did have a military background. And that's not something that all military dudes or just dudes in general are willing to take on, as some other woman and their kids from whatever other relationship, but he definitely did that. So Big ups to him.
Well, again, I'm sure that was tough. It was definitely sucked to hear, but I felt, for you, because I know you guys were talking a lot. I was thankful to be able to talk to you and him with Carl a couple weeks ago. So, it was nice to hear him, hear his laugh, stuff like that. It's a shame. For everybody that doesn't know, he passed away of COVID. We've had a lot of stories of veterans, passing away of suicide or, tragic accidents, but we just wanted to make sure it was clear that he passed away from COVID. We wanted to get that up and out of the way and make sure we paid respects to him and his family. But just as a quick intro to this, I'm Mike Dickinson. I served active duty from 2009 to 2014. Pretty much, other than training and stuff like that, all with the 101st. And then now I am in the Army Reserves as a AR Medcom, Army Reserve Medical Command, as a maintenance OIC, which mostly is just paperwork and inspections and nothing at all like what I was doing at Fort Campbell, which was just basically constantly out the door, pushing people out the door. So so I've been at off and on. I got off and I was in the IRR for a little bit of time. So I get paid for like 11 years, but I've got 8. So still got a long way to go to retirement, but just got promoted to major last year. So now I'm starting my ILE, intermediate level or intermediate education that I've got to do. And then, hopefully not do anything to get kicked out for any reason. How about you, Liz? You want to give everybody your background?
Yeah, Johnnie Lowry, served in the Army from 2003, August, all the way until May of 2017. Got a medical discharge, had some back issues. I've been everywhere. I had 2 tours to Iraq, 1 tour to Afghanistan. I've been stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, was my very first duty station. Did about 5.5 years there. 2 deployments to Iraq out of Fort Sill, PCS to Fort Carson, Colorado, which is by far one of the most beautiful places I've been to in the States, rather. Went to Afghanistan out of there, did a 10-monther out of there, and then spent the last 5.5 years or so of my career at Fort Campbell. Not going to say that it was easy, but it was definitely some fun times, some definite trying times, but it was some fun times, had some adventures. Got out as an E6, and now I'm just out here, man, doing what I do, officiating basketball at the college level, umpiring high school baseball, and day trading and going to school online. So that is life as I know it currently.
So you're a basketball ref. You also do some umpiring, but you're trying to make it up into the, like, college and professional level at some point, right, on the reffing?
Yep, most definitely. There's one thing that I've just discovered while I was in the Army is A, whenever I did get out, I didn't want to hold a conventional job, and B, I wanted to continue to do something that I actually loved, and that brought me pleasure to go to work every day. Like we've talked about before, when you actually love what it is that you do, it's not necessarily considered a job, or at least in your mind, you don't consider it that way. So it's not really work. And that's pretty much how basketball is for me. If anybody knew me in my Army career, I freaking hated running. One of my biggest, proudest moments is I've never ran like a major run at Fort Campbell, ever. I didn't do any division run. I was pretty excited about that. But I run every day when it comes to basketball. I run every day for basketball, and it actually gives me pleasure. And like, it's not something that I get out there and I dread, like, damn, I've got to go run for this game. But plan on taking that to at least the college level. I've had my pro tryout. Don't know where that's going to amount to. Hopefully one day it pans out. If it does, that's awesome. If it doesn't, then, I gave it the good old college try. But baseball. I don't want to take that to the pro level. I just don't have time for what it is that they have going on, but I definitely want to become a college umpire. And I think I'll be pretty much settled if I can get both of those into the college realm and just ride that little wave out. Again, it's not really work. I have fun getting out there to go do it, and just watching people develop, you know, over time is pretty amazing. So I can't be mad at that.
All right, so obviously, again, we're trying to get our technical situation right. You've got a bunch of podcast stuff back home in Tennessee, so you'll be good to go. We just had to get Johnnie into some air conditioning. They're sweating in Texas. So we're going to continue to work through some software issues, try to get, be a little bit more professional about this stuff, but we just wanted to get this out there. We see a lot of our friends and vets and stuff like that sometimes posting on Facebook and struggling and wish that there was more resources that we could help provide. And so, we both have a lot of connections both in the civilian side and in the military side that we are going to start putting together. We're going to build a website with resources and stuff like that. I've learned even just in the last year, I've learned a lot about counseling resources that are out there that are for free. You've talked to me about some of your friends that have found some good grant money and stuff like that for family to help people get by. So we want to start putting that stuff out there. We've created a Facebook page, which we'll be sharing this from. We're going to have the podcast actually going to be shared on Anchor, and then these videos we're going to put on YouTube. And then we also have a Discord channel that Johnnie started. And so that is going to be on the Facebook page under our website. So there's a link to Discord. If you don't know what Discord is or don't have it, it's basically just a community chat room that is live all the time. And we can do chatting, or we can even do audio audio calls. So we're going to put that up there. We've even created a group or a sub channel called E911. So if there's any veterans or somebody out there that's really struggling mentally or just having some issues and feel lost or feel like you're not really in the right place, then we want to be able to have a place that you can go to, and it's always going to be manned. There's always going to be somebody there. And hopefully, if it's in the middle of the night or something like that, and we've got some measures and stuff like that we're trying to get in place to where, it'll, break through somebody's do not disturb or something like that, so that we can wake up and be there for our brothers and sisters. This is also for families and kids and even civilians that weren't necessarily in the military, but are also struggling with, resources for stuff or mental health, and just needs a place to maybe get some direction, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people, veterans or not, but veterans specifically, that have been able to find those resources and dig around for that stuff.
The fact that we just all understand that the resources aren't necessarily taught to you before you get out. You know what I'm saying? Like the Army or just the military period kind of does their due diligence, I guess, to prepare you in the fashion that they think that they do. But the real stuff that you need, you don't really truly find until after you're out and you've been digging and researching for a while. And because we've done both of those things, to a certain extent, and have connections, we might be able to help those guys that are immediately getting out or that have been out for a short period of time, and they don't have to go look as hard as maybe we did or the person behind us may have.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, besides just talking about it and talking about the subjects that maybe people are uncomfortable talking about, we want to build a very, very resourceful website. So just going to take some time, but we want to get that within, the click of a finger. or a quick phone number that you can call to get that. Some of the things that we plan to talk about in addition to that is just current topics, whether it's the new regulations for hair, or stuff for veterans that have happened recently, like the Afghanistan turmoil that we're experiencing and seeing right now. Issues with relationships that I've seen a lot of veterans struggle with that are no longer in, that they don't, maybe they moved somewhere that's out of town or out of state, and they're with coworkers that never served, or they're at a home where their wife was not with them when they served, or kids that they didn't have when they served, and so they feel like they're very lost, or they're going through a divorce, or going through some other type of struggles. So I've been through two myself, so I have a little bit of experience in dealing with that stress and that type of life-changing event. We've talked about doing, we've got some resources to talk through disability and disability ratings, having somebody on from the VA to just talk through that, disability ratings, as well as like retirement and good financial resources. We've got a lot of topics. I'm not going to run through them all. Johnny and I have made a pretty substantial list of stuff. We want to have you guys on. The whole point of this, and you'll see that our mission, the point of our mission, is to allow you guys to speak, and we just want to listen and be there however you need us to be there for. But in the meantime, and until somebody raises their hand and until somebody speaks up, we've got a lot to talk about. We think that there's a lot of resources out there, but there's never too many, and so we just want to be another one of those. And Johnny and I both like to talk. If anybody doesn't know Johnny, he's got a pretty signature laugh, which he is debuting for us right now. So I'm excited to showcase Johnny and his experience, and of course his signature laugh. But so that's where we're at. There's going to be a lot to come from this. There's some other podcasts that I follow that I will be sharing on our Facebook page as well as in Discord. And then there's books that I've read that deal with, trauma, mental trauma, and really centers around, I think I've got it around here, that really centers around veterans, and especially people that have had trauma, whether it's combat veterans that have seen a lot of stuff. So it's called The Body, look at that, it's blurring it out. The Body Keeps Score. Oh, come on, I'm blurring it. All right, well, it's called The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body and the Healing of Trauma. And it does specifically deal with veterans and families, and the way the brain acts and reacts based on certain events as it comes up, whether it's flashbacks specifically, and then just dealing with memories and dates and stuff like that. I do want to give a shout out. We talked about it before. Meeker, Meeker has perfected the art of Facebook Live and just getting on and chatting and having people come on and chat. And I've envied that for a long time. So Meeker, we'd like to have you on at some point, probably in the early stages of this, because you've done a very good job at just having conversations, and I think it would be fun to have a conversation with you. We're basically just following in your footsteps and emulating what you do in a little bit broader aspect, and so we hope to learn from you and have you on here as well, and maybe try and share some of your experiences of do we just pass the memory of Frank Diorio passing away on August 22nd, I believe, and that was 2014, I think. when he did. So, so anyways, and another thing Johnny and I talked about right before we started was, we're for my deployment, in the time that I went, which was 2010 to 11, in Kandahar, RC South. We're entering that time where we deployed in June, we trained ANA for a couple months, and then we officially moved into Fab Sab, Zari district in July, August. So we're starting to get in that time where we started losing some soldiers. And so, there's going to be a lot of struggles. I know there's a lot of guys that were really close to Snow and Hess and Staff Sergeant Weigel, Buffalo. So we're entering that time where we're going to see a lot of memorials, and obviously Veterans Day is coming up in November. So we think that this is going to be a good opportunity for us to really kick this off, as we're entering a time where a lot of veterans and active soldiers are entering that time of year where they lost people, and there's going to be a lot of memories, and they're going to be struggling mentally, and so we want to be there for you. So.
Yep. And along with that, I mean, my last deployment was literally the same time frame. So 2010, 2011. I actually left in October of 2010. The rest of my unit, I think, left in August. So I was about 2 months late, or behind, rather. And I mean, we lost a bunch of guys. First chaplain to ever be lost since, man, I can't even remember. The first chaplain in forever to ever be lost in the war, I want to say since like Vietnam, was one of ours, coming out of Fort Carson. And then again, it's the holiday time of the year, so it's kind of shitty in the fact that, like, the hardest time for veterans is not particularly like in the summertime, or like maybe in the spring where there isn't a lot of stuff going on particularly, or a lot of stuff that you would really celebrate, but much rather like in November during Thanksgiving, or like during Christmas time frame. We had a lot of those tough, shitty experiences, you know what I'm saying? And I know that it's probably hard for a lot of guys to cope with those things that they went through during this same time period, and try to find some enjoyment with their family or their significant other at this particular time that we're coming into. So it gives you a good outlet, and hopefully it will do just that, and you can have somewhere that you can talk and get a release. And maybe if you've been having shitty years in the past, this will give you a new beginning. It's a new beginning for us, starting something new for the veterans, and just for even active soldiers, if some of them have some issues that they want to talk about, but simultaneously it'll give you a new beginning, hopefully. And you can actually start enjoying things in life that you used to actually get out and go enjoy with no issues. And now hopefully, you have a platform where you can discuss those things here, you can get a release here, and then you don't have to really and truly carry on that baggage that you've been carrying on with for however long that may have been happening. So, just as it's new for us, man, it could be new for everybody else, and that's really an exciting part, and the start to a great adventure in my personal opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Diorio, as an example, didn't Diorio work for you, right?
Yep.
First, I don't know how long he worked for you. So that, when I found out about that, it was a very unique situation for me. And so, this is a good segue into that, because I didn't take it hard because we were friends. I took it hard from the aspect of, I was the guy who was responsible for busting his rank down.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, I can't say that was the start of his downhill, because there were 4 years in between when that happened to, his passing. But it's just another one of those things that is always in my head, is what was the punishment too harsh for you know what he did. I know what he did. We don't have to talk
Yep.
about that unless somebody wants to bring it up. But it wasn't bad. It was just something that, was illegal by Army standards, and frowned upon by civilian standards. Right? Would you
Right.
agree?
Yeah.
So in summary, he was selling stuff openly that wasn't his. But you get punished for that stuff, and I've got soldiers who probably would say I was too harsh in some instances of my career, but I took everything case by case. But if you did something that deserved punishment, you got punished. The severity of it was usually determined based on the severity of the infraction, and then based on the severity of the recommendations of their NCOs or leaders. And usually I carried it out based on the recommendation of their leaders and never just what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, Diorio was punished. He was stripped of rank. And I would say that at the time, I thought he handled it very well, and it shrugged it off almost as, I get it, I screwed up, now it's time for me to, own up to my mistakes and move on. But for me personally, it's something I've always carried with me since then as, am I responsible for that downhill spiral? I'll never get that answer. I'm sure I'll never get that answer, but I think that this was a great first topic for us to be able to bring that up, because, me mentally, that's something I will always live with, which is, am I responsible for, what happened to Diorio? I know that the short answer is, probably not, but I know that everything's complicated, and there may be a more complicated answer than that. So, I struggle with that. And I think it's something that I probably, until this video, I've never really talked with about anybody. So this is a chance for other people to see that this is what we want this to be, is, if you're struggling or if you have some things you need to talk about, then this is where we want it to be, and we want to try and help walk you through that.
It's funny that you actually brought that particular situation up, because for the longest, it didn't necessarily hit me as hard. I think Diorio worked for me for probably about 1.5 years or so, somewhere around there, maybe 2 years. I was an asshole. For my standard, I could be an asshole while I was in the Army, but even after his passing, there was just, I had the same questions, you know what I'm saying? Because part of his punishment is my recommendation, you know what I mean? Along with my bosses. So just thinking about that, was it too harsh, or could we have done a little bit lighter? And then just being in the actual career field that we're in, I'm not going to say that I don't understand what he did, but I can't say that I fully understand what he did at the same time. But I can say it's not the first time that I've seen something like that, and plenty of people in our logistical realm have gotten away with things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't obviously make one thing right or wrong. This definitely does not make that particular situation right. But it situations like those, extreme situations like after the fact, so him passing or the suicide in itself, make you think man, could he have been the one slap on the wrist like everybody else has gotten a slap on the wrist, or you know what I mean? And your heart of hearts really and truly tells you, when you're living by the military standard, that's just not what was going to be able to happen. But the sensitive person inside, I guess, just says, man, like if you could have only given that one extra chance, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe how would have that impacted his life later on down the line? Would we still have a Frank DiOrio around? Or, you know, pretty much the same question that you've been asking yourself, you know what I'm saying? Did that in any way impact the ending decision that he had made? But I used to think about that for a while. I really did. And it's tough because those are things that you have to compartmentalize in a sense. They're decisions. Everybody's got to make decisions. Some decisions are a whole lot easier than others. Some decisions are just straight shitty decisions, no matter how hard or difficult or not difficult they are. But everybody has a decision to make. DiOrio made a decision. You had to make a decision. I had to make a decision. And at the end of the day, you still got to live with it. But some decisions are just tough to compartmentalize, put away, and to continue on with the rest of your life. At some point in time, depending on the severity of those decisions or the impact of them, they can be hard, but sometimes it just really it's tough. You know what I'm saying? And it can be tough. Yeah, I like, you know, to segue into the Gonzo incident, just not his specific incident in itself, but his downfall of his career, he really thought was the decision that he made to leave Fort Campbell. He had a bunch of, you know, supporting cast behind him here or at Fort Campbell in 175. And for whatever reason, life was hard. Or he just, I don't know what happened at Fort Campbell. He just thought that things were tough and that he would get an easier, fresher start somewhere else. In that essentially, you know, when he moved to Fort Lewis, it kind of like started the downhill decline of his career, really. And I can always remember one of my very first sergeants telling me before I left Fort Sill, hey, you know, Sergeant Lowry, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. When I went to Fort Carson, now granted, I had the time of my life at Fort Carson, but the decision to go from Fort Carson to Fort Campbell, I met great people there and I'll never regret that. But just the decision in itself, like that was literally a like 5-year downslide of my career, I thought, you know what I mean? And it's one thing that I consistently think about, like, what if I didn't go? What if I stayed at Fort Carson? Like, how much longer would I have survived in a career? But then I think, like, would I have progressed in rank? Would I have been able to do these things or these things? You know what I'm saying? I did a lot at Fort Campbell, even though it was the end or the beginning of the end. I did a lot at Fort Campbell that I wouldn't give up for the world. I had a lot of great opportunities at Campbell, and again, I've met some great people at Fort Campbell. But it makes you think, like, again, it's a decision that I had to make, and it makes you think, like, what if you had reversed that, or what if I had done something different? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I had a guy recently say that his old boss told him, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes it's just made of AstroTurf. and I thought about it, and I was like, isn't AstroTurf, like, better than grass? Like, cleaner. You don't have to maintain it. You just run around on it. You don't even you can slide and you don't get dirty. Like, so
but let me tell you,
what the comparison he was going to make.
So being a baseball umpire, I can tell you, like,
you just get those little things, the pebbles that fly up and get in your eye.
Yes, but that slide is a lot harder. And it's actually hotter on AstroTurf than anything else, than regular grass. Like that, it just seeps in, you know, that it just holds in heat, and then it's a shitty, I don't know. I forget who it was that I was talking to the other day. I think it was my sister in Houston. She's maybe thinking about getting her son into baseball, and we just happened to talk about turf. Turf is, it's not, I hate turf. As an umpire, I can say that much. The only thing I think it's good for is to look good. So maybe that's where that comparison comes from. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, but it's green. It always stays green. It never.
This is true.
So whether it's green or is, I guess, somebody's perception on how good of a green is it green.
Yeah.
What makes green a better green than the other green?
All
perception. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I think this is, we're on to starting some big stuff here. So I appreciate everybody clicking on it. As we get the YouTube going, which we'll get this over to YouTube. Obviously subscribe and allow us to, come into your lives a little bit, and hopefully we can keep this going. Hopefully our careers and lives don't soak up too much time to where we can't take an hour out of our day to record a segment and get it out to you guys so that we can start getting you guys engaged and participating with us, and then get some help out there. There's a podcast I was talking earlier about called the Panjaway Podcast. I'll throw them, share their link onto the Facebook page. But there's a lot of resources they're doing right now to help out with interpreters and what's going on in Afghanistan. So there's a lot of people trying to do some positive stuff out there, trying to help, and we just want to be another resource. But we need our own help too. So hopefully there's some people that we can talk to that will help us, get the resources that we need, and any point us in the right direction. So any last thoughts?
I do want to take that book, so I think I'm going to open up like a resources tab in our Discord channel, and then I'll take that book, I'll find it on Amazon, post the link, so that way it's easy for everybody to find once they start joining in the Discord. But I want to take a read at it. I'm not a huge reader, but I definitely will try to find some kind of audio version of that book to potentially listen to when I have some free time. But man, I encourage anybody and everybody who has any kind of issue, which is all of us really, truly deep down inside, no matter how much you want to admit it, to get into some type of self-development or something that's going to help you out along the way, man. And to just know that you're not in the fight by yourself, man. I know that a lot of people with their back up against the wall, they kind of feel that they're fighting this lone fight by themselves, but there are plenty of us out here. There are a lot of veterans that are, surprising enough, probably going through the same issues that you're going through. And it's always great when you can have somebody else to lean on and to just discuss some stuff with. So by all means, get into some reading, something that's going to help you be better. Plug into the group, please get into this podcast, and hopefully you can join one day and just talk about some stuff. But anything that we can do to help, we are definitely committed, and we're here ready to get this thing launched and get it started, man.
Yep. Yeah, and we need your help too. I mean, without you guys giving us some ideas and wanting to watch, obviously we're not going to be able to keep this thing going. But hopefully we can just hop on here once a week and just talk about what's going on. And if you want to listen, then please join. So all right, well, that's a short and a very disorganized episode 1 of the Vet Victory podcast. So we'll get this up and running, and we'll see you guys next week.